Now to Truthing or Faking. James Creedon is with us for that. And James, once again, you've been looking at a number of great stories. The one we're homing in on tonight, though, is claims of Nazi salutes at a protest against the health pass here in France. Nazi salutes, of course, the stiff arm salute. Usual thing you see on. Anyway, you can tell the story.
This one sort of opposed on social media Florian Philippot, formerly of the far-right National Front Party, since rebranded the National Rally. He now has his own sort of patriot group. He's
still far right, though, isn't it?
That's right. Very much anti-European. The movement would be known as souverainiste here in France, or for a return to French sovereignty and a rolling back of French sort of participation in the European Union project. So there he is, and he has been one of the major figures spearheading protests that against the French health pass and against the broader government policy vis-a-vis vaccination and all of that, and I suppose now the vaccine pass. So this was at a recent rally that he had organised with his movement. There were other movements as well involved. In any case, at that particular rally, there was a moment that was picked up by the Interior Minister, Gérald Darmanin. There was a screen grab of a moment when the cortege was passing by here in, I think it's the 7th arrondissement, and it very much does look like the infamous Nazi salute. So what he said is, at his demand, at his request, the French police prefecture has engaged in a formal procedure to alert the justice, the powers that be, if you like, that this took place and that measures ought to be taken. Now, as it turned out, this sort of, if you like, played into the hands of Florian Philippot, who was able to quite simply retrieve the video in question. And as you can see here, in fact, it wasn't the Nazi salute. It was a sort of a clap action that was going on, and there are other videos that were picked up by different media that fact checked this, taking it from different angles, if you like, where you can see that there was a sort of a clap going on. Now, the question you could ask, what's going on here, because there's definitely a bit of a tit for tat political communications going on. For Gérald Darmanin to point the finger, so to speak, or point that this is going on. Whether he was mistaken or whether he knew that this confusion could happen. There's a degree. We are in the run up to a presidential election here in France. This could be quite basic political communications and mudslinging, knowing that even if it's not entirely true, that the mud will stick. And in fact, to make things even more complicated, Mark, as several fact-checking media looking into this have pointed out, including Les Révélateurs de France TV, that's colleagues who also engage in a degree of fact-checking, there have been associated demonstrations, not by the Patriot group, but by another group who were involved in the same protests with them, if you like. One of their leaders is this guy, Etienne Cormier, mentioned up here. And at protests that took place previously, it was noticed that there were hand signals that were confirmed to be Nazi salutes. So you can see it's quite a complex picture in the sense that Gérald Darmanin was drawing attention to a mistaken moment where a hand clap was confused as a Nazi salute, and in the tit for tat that followed and that ensued, where Florian Philippot was trying to clear his name, there was the clarification of why that confusion could take place. So. Yeah, it's confusing, and the devil is often in the details. And certainly, if we point to this precise moment, it was a mistake to make that come to that conclusion.
Darmanin isn't saying there about Nazi salutes, though, what he's actually tweeting, is he? So I'm just wondering, sort of, again, it all sort of like disintegrates into this kind of like sort of rabbit hole we're going down, argue about sort of what they say, what others say. Fundamentally, there's still far right groups with very, very objectionable, distasteful views.
I think that's true, very fair to say. And you could also make the observation, why would you engage in a clap that could be confused when there is a screen grab with a salute like that? You would try to avoid gestures like that.
Lots of people might do that in a crowd, a football crowd, a rugby crowd.
That's true. A hand in the air is a hand in the air.
Yeah, like you say, it could be misinterpreted. But clearly there, it looks sinister. And Gerard Darmanin might be regretting that tweet that he decided to put online.
Each side now is saying that they're going to be talking to the police about it, so getting very
indeed.
worked up.
I'm sure they will have great conversations, waste a lot of police time over that too, and taxpayers' money as well. James, thank you very
Thanks,
much
Mark.
indeed. Always value for money, whether he's truthing or faking. James is always on the money there. Thank you very much indeed, sir, very much indeed. Thanks to Kate for the business. Thanks most of all to you for watching. Stay with us here on France 24.
The planet is suffering. Climate catastrophe is at our doorstep. Emissions are soaring, species are disappearing. But a mass movement is underway to make things right. Scientists, engineers, politicians, business leaders, and of course, teenagers. And we give them all a voice here on Down to Earth.
A major driving force is the good that we could do at the end of it.
Down to Earth on France 24 and France24.com.